zombies, a young streamer is alone in his apartment and can't get help from anyone. Can he hold out till rescue arrives?
Hello, and welcome to our channel. Today we'll review and recap a sci-fi movie called Alive. Let's check it out.
Jun Woo, a popular streamer who plays video games, starts his day late in the morning. He is alone, but his mother left him some money so that he can buy food. He begins to set up his computer and starts to stream to play with his online friends, but he stops for a second and watches the news. After the regular news gets cut off, he gets a sudden emergency. The man starts to act strange and turns. He aggressively rushes toward Jun Woo and attacks him. The streamer musters all his courage and successfully pushes the phone won't connect, which makes him even more frustrated. After a while, the signal comes back, stay alive. Not having enough supply to last for 60 days, he starts to divide all the food he has left and falls asleep. The internet is still working, so he decides to post something on social media and continues to watch the local news report related to the outbreak, but the call is unsuccessful. While the emergency power remains on, he gradually one of the zombies outside his apartment and it manages to get inside. The zombie tears down the door and knocks over the refrigerator. Jun Woo was able to think fast and lure the zombie towards him to force the infected man to fall out of the balcony. He fixes the door right away and cleans up some of the food that got spoiled because the infected man knocked over the fridge. He decides to do a video recording and shares what he's been through for the past 2 days since the outbreak started. After being trapped in his apartment for 7 days, his water supply is turned off, so he decides to drink his father's liquor collection. On the 15th day, he hallucinates about his family for a moment due to hunger and thirst and being drunk from drinking too much liquor. He wakes up to a voice message from his family. He desperately finds a way to listen to it, only to hear the screams of his parents at the end of the message. He rages outside the apartment and engages the zombies after learning what happened to his family, leaving him to feel lost and irrationally angry. The zombies started swarming toward him, which helped him come to his senses. Not wanting to be infected and turn, he decides to sneak back to his apartment.
This is one of the best scenes in the movie, and it's really painful. The worst part is hearing your family's final screams. It's difficult to imagine how someone can overcome that emotional and psychological pain, especially in that kind of situation.
On the 20th day, he sees some explosions taking place in the city. Because of this, the source of the power supply is cut off. At this point, it appears as though Jun Woo has completely abandoned all hope of surviving and any desire to do so. He intends to put an end to his life and his suffering by hanging himself, but the light from a laser pointer prevents him from carrying out this plan. At that moment, he realizes that there is another survivor beside him. It was Yubin, a survivor who lives in the building across from his unit who transmitted the signal. The man overslept despite their agreement to meet at 7 a.m. Seeing him hungry, Yubin attempted to throw a ball with a cord attached to it so that she could transport food for the hungry man, but it didn't work. With the help of his drone, they tie each end of a rope to their own balconies to make a zipline. She selflessly shares her food and water supply with Jun Woo. The cord tied to a baseball that she initially uses to build a zipline to connect their apartments ends up in the street. An infected firefighter picks up the cord and pulls it, causing the table attached to it to hit Yubin and leave her unconscious. The table then becomes lodged in the balcony railing, which enables the zombie to climb up. He tries his best to distract the zombie from climbing by throwing bottles, but it only works for a moment. Jun Woo manages to distract the zombie using his drone, but ends up being caught and destroyed. After destroying the drone, the zombie continues to climb. The woman wakes up just in time before the zombie is able to fully climb into her apartment. She cuts its arm, causing it to fall from the railing. Realizing that their supply is not enough, Jun Woo builds up enough courage and gathers useful items from his neighbor's unit. He manages to collect some food, drinks, a 3.5mm earphone that can be used as an antenna, and a pair of walkie-talkies. He narrowly avoids the zombie inside the unit and runs back to his unit. He sends a walkie-talkie and chocolate to her afterwards, and they use the device to communicate with each other. They start to get to know each other and even cook at the same time to pass the time. Yu-bin is caught off guard by a sudden noise outside caused by the infected hordes of zombies. Sensitive to noise, it attracts the zombies, which draws them to her front door. The trapped girl is scared for her life and prepares for the worst. Jun-woo distracts them by dialing the number of the room next door, successfully luring them all away from Yu-bin's unit. Staying in their unit is no longer a safe option, so they agree to move to the 8th floor, which the girl believes is vacant. After equipping themselves, the two descend from their balconies, starting with the girl, followed by him. The zombies rush to attack them, so they fight their way to the elevator. They manage to go to the 8th floor using the elevator. However, they discover that the doors have been barred and the floor is not totally free from zombies. In their dire situation of being cornered and without nowhere to go, a stranger helps them out and pulls them inside his unit, saving them from the zombie attack. The cautious woman seems to mistrust the stranger, while the streamer easily gets comfortable with him. This unknown tenant from the unit provides them with something to drink and eat. In their conversation, he mentions that he has enough supplies for them until the rescue team arrives, which he heard from the news. Hearing that they'll be rescued, Yu-bin and Jun-woo can't contain their emotions. They express an incredible sense of joy and relief knowing someone will arrive to save them very soon. Suddenly, Jun-woo loses consciousness while Yu-bin becomes groggy. The stranger drugged both of them and held them captive. He ties both of their hands using a cable tie and drags the girl into the room where he locks her inside together with his wife, who is apparently infected. The psychotic man wants to feed the girl to his hungry wife.
It's really scary to think that if an apocalypse like this happens in real life, your enemy is not only the dead, but could also be the living. As frightening as it seems, the possibility of it happening in an apocalypse is very high, given that you wanted to survive.
Screaming and calling out to her friend, Jun-woo manages to wake up and threatens the stranger by pointing a gun at him. The mad stranger releases his wife from her restraints, forcing the young man to drop the gun and grab the restraint to help her. The screaming and growling stop, and the room suddenly becomes quiet. The husband enters the bedroom where he discovers his ailing wife with a cloth wrapped around her head. The infected wife assaults her husband and bites him, forcing Yu-bin to open fire, ending both the husband and the wife's lives. The sound of gunshots attracts further hordes of zombies to the area. The woman loses all her hopes, so she hands over the gun to Jun-woo and requests for her friend to end her life. Despite not wanting to do it, he unwillingly points the gun at her while both of them cry. Just before he pulls the trigger, they hear helicopters outside, which gives them hope once again. They rush their way up to the roof while they defend themselves against the infected people. They make it to the roof, but the zombies are coming at them so fast that they can't get away. A military helicopter barely makes it in time to save them before the zombies get to them. They transport them away from the infected site. A voiceover from the anchor says that wireless networks are being restored and that the military is trying to rescue people who posted on social media with the hashtag #alive.
If you're looking for something fresh, then this film is going to give it to you. It's concise and quick-paced, and all the characters really make sure they do their best with the time they have. The action scenes are both frightening and disturbing, but they also throw a little bit of humor in there as well. This particular movie is short, but very satisfying. And if you're a zombie fan, it's a must-watch. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload. And don't forget to suggest movies that you want us to recap in the comments down below.